Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting edition of Fantasy Sports Review. As always, I'm your host, Rob Castro. And before we begin, we'd like to thank Phil Hargis for directing our show tonight because Steve Mullins couldn't make it. So Phil, he's usually a staple hold here on the show, is now behind the scenes. And we thank him for all the graphics and all the hard work he puts into the show. So Phil, from all of us, thank you. All right, now back to week 6 and another recap. Before I begin, I want to open up and welcome back Natalie Gerson to the show. She's very instrumental, one of our co-hosts, and then Claire Barkowski as usual.
Hey guys, great to be back.
So yeah, guys, it was a great week. A lot of upsets, a lot of huge games. I mean, who saw the Seahawks beating the Patriots, especially with Russell Wilson in the last 2 minutes throwing 2 touchdown passes, kind of exciting. Then RG3 rushes for 180 yards, caps off that 76-yard run. And beating the Minnesota Vikings, so that was a huge game as well. But guys, I mean, what really stood out in week 6?
I said, I want to go through the teams that I think absolutely blew it in week 6, and starting with my team, the Steelers versus the Titans. Steelers had a chance to win that. They go ahead and they miss a 54-yard field goal at the very end of the game with 49 seconds left, and then the Titans come back and score a field goal, and the Steelers are out. So that one right there, Steelers blew it. I think they absolutely should have beaten the Titans, hands down. Team number 2 that blew it, the Cowboys. Cowboys versus the Ravens.
But that was a tough game. I mean, going into Baltimore is a tough place to play. So
Baltimore is a terrible place to play. Their fans are so always behind their team, but when the Cowboys had a chance to win that game and recover an onside kick at the very end and then go ahead and miss a field goal, I mean, they had every chance to win that game.
And they lost, and Ravens lost 2 key defensive players.
Yes.
So right there. But Cowboys blowing it though. Your quarterback's Tony Romo.
yeah, that is
I'm
true.
never shocked
true
when
story.
Dallas blows it.
And they had 100
I mean?
yards. DeMarco Murray almost had 100 yards in the first half, then he gets carted off with that sprained foot. So and he won't be playing this week. We'll get that a little bit later. Clara, what did you see this week that really kind of stood out?
I actually thought that the Redskin was a huge upset. Being a huge fan, RG3 coming in with a concussion. I'm thinking, he's going to lay low, which he does need to start doing if he wants to prolong his career. He can't be, playing the position as a running back. But he's rushing for 138 yards, the 76-yard touchdown, which you said. I thought that was awesome. That was definitely a game to go to.
I think RG3 was a little bit more cautious this past week, too. There were certain times 2 games ago where he would stay in the game and get hit and, kind of tackled and taken out, versus this past week, he would run to the sideline, step out of bounds, still get a ton of yards, score, 2 touchdowns. That guy's unbelievable.
He's fast, but, he can throw, too.
Yeah.
He's got an arm.
I'm excited to see him.
And if you got him in the 8th or 7th round of your drafts where he was really going, you got to steal. I mean, the guy's been just playing out of his mind. When we finally saw Aaron Rodgers back, throwing 6 touchdowns against the Houston Texans in Houston. Big win. Packers needed it really bad. But guys, I mean, you look at the records of all these teams. There's only 2 teams in the AFC that are above 500. Mm-hmm. I mean, that hasn't happened in, I want to say, 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, it's been ridiculous.
And I also want to point out the Monday Night Football game, 24-0 at halftime. I turned it off and I went to bed.
So did I.
Because I thought it was over. And then I wake up, I'm looking on my phone, and they came back, and Peyton Manning throws for over 300 yards and 3 TDs.
Talk about never underestimate the power of Peyton Manning. And there we go again, coming back and winning that game 35-24. I was shocked the next morning when I woke up, put on SportsCenter, and found out that they somehow pulled out that game.
Yeah.
Philip Rivers is just awful.
He's terrible. I think Norton needs to go. So, yeah, there you have it. Those were some surprises in Week 6. All right, now we're going to jump right ahead into the quarterbacks. And you look at Aaron Rodgers, a guy that should be always on the top of this list week in and week out. Throws for 6 touchdown passes, gives you 43 points. I mean, gave me 47 in one of my leagues. And then you also have Robert Griffin, Andy Dalton, Russell Wilson, and Josh Freeman rounding out the top 5. I mean, guys, Andy Dalton's been one of those guys, you could have gotten him in the 15th, 16th round. He's been in the top 10 most every single week now in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first week that, Aaron Rodgers finally is coming back. He's number 1. But, I mean, look at this. You have Brady down at number 8. Stafford, who was awesome last year. Cam Newton, which, didn't play. But, I mean, he's been in the bottom of the barrel, too. It's just, Andy Dalton, Russell Wilson. It's crazy. Yeah,
and it's tough because you're getting a lot of points elsewhere. Matthew Stafford has been really, really struggling all season long. Took him a great fourth quarter and lost the Eagles' defensive coordinator. his job because of that big-time meltdown in the fourth. But also, Natalie, what do you see here, too? It's like, you look at Peyton Manning, had that awesome second half. Michael Vick finally up there. I mean, thank God. The guy's been playing, like a dud the past 5 weeks.
Yeah, finally got up there, though, and now they're out for a week, so we'll see if he actually comes back after a bye and continue on there. But I got to give a shout-out to my boy Benny. Even though the Steelers lost that game, he still threw for 363 yards, and he got a new he got a Steelers career passing leader record this past game because of that. So go Benny.
All right, well, that rounds out the top 12 quarterbacks. On the running back position, a guy that I've been high on for the last 4 seasons, and Phil can attest to that, is Sean Green. Finally is the #1 ranked running back in Week 6, and I actually started him because Maurice Jones-Drew couldn't go. So thank God I started him, and thank God I got a big win. 160 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. Guy was a stud. What do you do this week? Do you start him or do you sit him?
I don't know.
Against the Patriots, I mean
Against the Patriots, their defense is nothing to write home about. I say start them.
Okay. And then you also have Ray Rice. C.J. Spiller didn't really have a C.J. Spiller type game. Fred Jackson, those 2 guys are in the top 5. I mean, I think you start both of them. Adrian Peterson,
Spiller this
too.
week, I think, especially against the Titans, I think he should be able to do a much better job.
Right. And then you look at Adrian Peterson against the Redskins, where he tore his ACL on from a year ago. Had a great game. Didn't find the end zone. Got stuffed a couple times, but nonetheless. Then you also see Ahmad Bradshaw, 116 yards against an awesome Niners defense. The guy finally comes on strong after being out with that nursing calf injury. And then LaShawn McCoy, Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, who last year was competing for the #1 job in Dallas, will now have the #1 job in Dallas because DeMarco Murray got injured. And then Arian Foster rounding out the top 10. 29 yards out of Arian Foster, kind of an un-Arian Foster-like game, but he still gives you 2 touchdowns, something that we're all accustomed to seeing. All right, then moving along to the wide receivers. Jordy Nelson, you said this,
Finally
last week,
stepped
Clara.
up.
Yeah.
He got me 35 points.
Yeah,
so
about
I
time.
was very
3
happy to see
touchdowns.
that. I'm on the fence. Should I bench him? Should I start him? He's just been doing awful, and then he comes out and he has 121 yards and 3 TDs. So that was nice to see. Because he's been just drop pass. Games will have like 2 or 3 drop passes.
yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And what did you see, Natalie, at the wide receiver spot this week that kind of stood out?
I don't really know. I don't really know, Rob.
Oh, you're on that plane from back in California.
I was flying a lot this past week.
Well, Des Bryant, too.
But Des Bryant, AJ Green, those 2 guys kind of, really kind of, they've been doing it all season long, except for Des Bryant's been kind of, up and down, up and down. Wes Welker, Jerry Maclin finally back from injury, Percy Harvin, Vincent Jackson, good to see him get on the board with 2 touchdowns, playing for the new team.
And Mike Williams has kind of fallen off for the past 2 years, and he comes out and has 113 yards.
And then you look at the
touchdown.
bottom guys. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald and Calvin Johnson. We've been saying it all season long, not to draft Calvin Johnson in the first round, and he really hasn't been putting up that many points. I mean, Phil said, do not draft Calvin Johnson. Madden curse, and we see it right here. And he's again had a great fourth quarter, but if he didn't, he would have had like 5 points, and you can't get that out of a first-round draft pick.
Larry Fitzgerald's surprising, though. I mean, he's usually consistently pretty
he's
good, though.
He's usually up the top, but you don't know who's going to throw him the football. Is it going to be John Skelton? Is it going to be Kevin Cobb? I mean, it's tough to be a great wide receiver and not know who your quarterback is week in and week out. So, and also good to see Jerry Maclin back on the board again. Really good wide receiver out of Philadelphia. I know I kind of harped on him early on this year, drafting in the 4th, 5th, 6th round as your #1 or #2 guy. Very surprised that he finally did well. But and another guy we usually see on the top 12 list is Reggie Wayne. Unfortunately, the Indianapolis Colts decided not to play against the New York Jets in New York, and they showed why they are the Indianapolis Colts and might get the first pick in the draft again this year. So, all right, so going to the tight ends, Antonio Gates finally steps up. I mean, I know he's got plantar fasciitis. People have been saying that, all right, Antonio Gates might be done for his career. Comes out, in the first half and catches 2 touchdown passes. In the second half, you know the rest. Denver scored 35 unanswered.
Philip Rivers can throw 6, 7, 8 interceptions in a game, but at least 2 of those touchdown passes are going to go to Antonio Gates. He's his go-to guy.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad he stepped up too.
And you kind of look at the top fantasy guy who gave you 26 points, and then you look at the bottom 11. It's 15. Yeah, it's not really a huge drop. It's kind of a huge drop off. But really, when you look at the middle guys like Heath Miller, Rob Gronkowski, Anthony Fasano, Jason Witten, Aaron Hernandez. 12, 15 points, and we always talk about, wait till draft tight end, wait till you draft the tight end. Don't get high on, Jimmy Graham and Gronkowski this season. And this is why. I mean, get a guy like Rob Gronkowski gives you 12 points. I mean, you could have picked up Jermaine Grisham or Kyle Rudolph in the 14th, 13th round and gotten a lot more pivotal picks in between. So
or picking them up on the waiver wire because
exactly.
I drafted Jermichael Finley, who had an awesome season last year, and he's on my bench now. And I started Jermaine Grisham, and he's number 3rd. He's been having double-digit points for me every week. So
right. So again, I mean, you see why the tight end position isn't that important,
right?
And it kind of shows why right here. All right, well, moving right along to the player news, key injuries. Natalie, you got some injuries on the board. Tell us about it.
I do. I have some injuries from this week, even though you don't necessarily agree with them. Aaron Rodgers was injured this week, but he's going to play.
Didn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Rodgers is
6
going to play.
touchdowns.
Here's another one that doesn't matter.
2 broken legs.
Yeah.
You're in.
Yeah,
You're
in.
playing.
Mark Sanchez. What do you guys think about that? There's another one that's
Sanchez. I mean,
full participation in practice, even though he's been injured. But I mean, who do we think is going to actually start playing for the Jets?
I don't know. Not Tim Tebow.
You don't think so?
No,
I mean, keep Mark in.
I think that it'll come a point in time where Tim Tebow gets his a couple starts, but I really don't see him overtaking
Being
Mark Sanchez.
Consistent. Yeah.
And then you also have
Ahmad
Bradshaw
Bradshaw.
hurt too, and Arian Foster. Tell us about that.
Well, Ahmad Bradshaw is foot, but he's likely to play. They said,
Yes,
my people behind the scenes.
Yeah, there you go. Adam Schefter, Twitter. You guys are Twitter friends now?
Yeah. Like this, you know that. Isaac Redmond, Pitt, I don't know if he's going to play or not, but we've got to pick it up with something with our running backs, anybody. Adrian Peterson, expected to play, I
Redskins
guess.
injured him. I like this.
Again,
Yeah, you
he
like
came
that?
off like 3 different occasions, but still almost rushed for 100 yards.
Here's one of your Washington boys,
But we
though,
still won, and that's all that matters.
Pierre Garcon.
He will probably not play.
Yeah. And then DeMarco Murray and Mario Manningham tonight not playing.
And Ray Rice, can't forget your
Oh,
boy
yeah.
Ray.
Oh, Ray Rice, and who's absolutely 100% not going to play anymore is Ray Lewis. Is that what you mean? Yeah, Ray
I
Lewis.
meant Ray Lewis.
Yeah, I was going to say Ray
That's
Rice.
not Ray Rice.
Yeah.
Ray
Come
Lewis.
on,
Ray
Terry,
Lewis.
everyone's scared. Jeez, everyone
I was like,
dropped
wait a minute,
him.
I thought Ray
Those
Rice.
Come on
Rays.
now.
You can keep
That's
Ray
what I
Rice in as your running back,
I think
but
everyone turned it off now, and they're like, now they're switching Ray, Sean Green for Ray
I
Rice
meant Ray
now.
Lewis. I meant Ray Lewis. Ray Rice is fine. I have
Well-
my fantasy team. He's fine.
we'll do a moment of silence for Ray Lewis.
Nah, not that we really care.
None of us do. We all hate the Ravens. It's okay.
All right, well, looking ahead, we have a great Week 7 schedule lined up. Tonight's ball game pits the Seattle Seahawks going to the #1 team in the NFC West, San Francisco 49ers, and kind of a tale of 2 teams. You got the Seattle Seahawks coming off that big win against the New England Patriots. Could it be a letdown game going into San Francisco because San Francisco got kind of dumped on
Got
by the New York
killed.
Giants 24-3 over the weekend? I mean, what do you see in this game? I think I really think that Seattle coming in, kind of proving why on primetime with Russell Wilson, why they're one of the better teams in the NFC. I think Seattle wins
And
this
both
game.
defenses are awesome.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a key because Russell Wilson. I mean, he's definitely stepped up, but I just don't trust Alex Smith. I never have. I don't like him. I think defense is definitely going to play a huge factor in this game.
I thought the 49ers game versus the Giants was going to be a lot closer than it was last week, though. So I think the 49ers coming into this game, having something to prove, I think they're going to come out there and give it a little bit more. So I'm going to say 49ers on this one.
I'm saying 49ers.
I like Seattle, so if I'm right, you guys.
You're never right when we pick opposite.
Yeah, I guess I'm drinking for free one of these nights. Cool. Well, we did kind of forget some bye weeks. So before we,
Yeah.
kind of got a little ahead of ourselves with the Seattle-San Fran pillow fight matchup, let's talk about some buys and who not to start. You have Miami on a bye, so don't start Reggie Bush or Ryan Tannehill if you're in a cheaper bet league.
I can't start Ryan Tannehill.
Denver Broncos do not start. Kansas City Chiefs do not, don't start Jamal Charles.
Don't start Brady
or
Quinn.
Matt Castle, your boy.
Or Brady
I can't
Quinn.
start Brady Quinn
I
either.
love Brady Quinn. Yeah,
Brady
don't start
Quinn.
Brady Quinn if he's your quarterback.
If you have San Diego, obviously don't start Norv Turner as your head coach. He's one of the worst. I'm just kidding. Phillip Rivers or Ryan Matthews, those guys just plain old stink. Philadelphia Eagles, LaShawn McCoy, Macklin, Deshaun Jackson, don't start them. Maybe Brent Selleck. And then Falcons, kind of losing a lot there if you have Matt Ryan, Roddy White, and Julio Jones on your team.
So
Because
let
you
me
would
ask you a
you would
question.
be in first place.
What do I do this week when I have my 2 starting running backs are LaShawn McCoy, who's on a bye, and DeMarco Murray, who's injured? What do I do?
I think you pick up.
Sit this one out?
Yeah, I think you just don't start anyone in the running back position. Or maybe start a fullback or 2. Yeah, you might get lucky and get some garbage touchdowns. But
Start Ben Tate.
all right, now we can break into. Well, before we start, before we get going to the Week 7 matchup, what are some of the waiver wire pickups we've been seeing? This year's kind of a little bit weirder than most because I haven't really seen really anyone besides some rookies like Josh Gordon, Cleveland. He's gotten 2 games straight having touchdowns. You also have Kendall Wright for the Titans, another rookie from Baylor who's been tearing it up because Kenny Britt hasn't been playing that well. Some quarterbacks, I mean, you could easily pick up Russell Wilson. I mean, he's always good for a couple touchdowns here and there, some rush yards as well. Sidney Rice, a lot of guys dropped him the first 3 or 4 weeks. Be a great guy to pick up. So just thinking about that, waiver wire, Duke, I mean, that kind of stokes you a little bit. What are some of the guys you've seen, Natalie?
I wrote down Kendall Wright like you did for the wide receivers.
Okay.
He's a good guy to pick if you're hurting for a receiver this week. He's playing against the Bills. And then for tight ends, I have Marcus Bennett and Scott Chandler. Marcus Bennett for the New York Giants. Start him because he's playing against the Skins. And for
Oh, Natalie, what does that mean? He's playing against the Skins.
I said that and I had to pause. I was like, oh
my God.
man.
She's obviously not a Redskins fan.
I know,
She's a homer. She's got her Steelers gear on. They're losers.
always a
They're
little
2-4.
something to
Reds
it.
have a better record. I mean, come on.
But yeah, I guess I did a lot more against Tennessee in the Bills this week. So Scott Chandler for the Bills starting against Tennessee.
Okay.
I guess you either get all or nothing when you play that guy. I mean, he's either on or completely off. So
Yeah.
that's the goal I
No,
have.
good insight for sure. And yeah, I mean, you also look, Rashard Mendenhall and Isaac Redmond are both gimpy. I mean, do you start a running back for Pittsburgh and try to? I mean, I know they're talking about getting guys off the streets. I mean,
I know at this
who
point,
knows?
someone's got to step up when it comes to the Pittsburgh because both of our guys are literally, kind of been injured and on and off of practice this week.
So maybe you pick up a
Sissy's
guy
been
on your
tough.
team. Maybe pick up who's I guess not what's his face for Steelers. I'm like drawing a blank.
what's
who's
his
the running
face for
back?
the Steelers?
Who's their third string
Mendenhall.
running
Third
back?
running back?
Oh, I don't even know.
So you don't even knows.
I don't even.
I think his last name is
Pick
Batch,
up,
but
what's
I
his
haven't.
name? The third string running back.
I
for
wouldn't
the
mind if they put
Pittsburgh
in
Steelers.
Batch as a running back.
That's
He's
who-
always
not-
pretty consistent.
It's not
in the
Charlie
quarterback.
Batch. It's another guy named Batch.
I'm talking about Charlie Batch.
I know you are. He's like 55 years old.
It's fine.
Okay.
But they're playing
All right.
Cincinnati in their tough division.
Now we're
game.
going to
Yeah,
break
that is
into
gonna be a tough
the
division
Week
game.
7 schedule. Our first game we're going to break down is the Tennessee Titans at the Buffalo Bills. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, to be honest with you. Tennessee's defense has been lackluster at best.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo plays very, very well at home. Start Fred Jackson, start C.J. Spiller. That's what I think.
Yeah,
And
I
Stevie
agree.
Johnson.
Yep.
Anyone out of Tennessee that you
And
might
I
deem worthy?
guess-
What about
I
Chris
guess
Johnson?
start
I mean, we
Chris
got to talk about him,
Johnson, yeah.
but I mean, what's he been
He's
doing this
just-
year has just been awful.
This year, last year, but I mean, Buffalo's not that good this year, so start him. He might, who knows, he might have the breakout game.
Yeah. I mean, we've
Yeah.
been waiting for it. I mean, he had it in week 2, and that was it.
If it's going to be against anyone, it's going to be against Buffalo, right?
Right. So Dallas and Carolina. A lot of guys are still sticking to Cam Newton. He's had a dismal season. Tony Romo looks to get his team back on track. They need a win. This is a must-win. It's a must-win for not only Romo's future, but their head coach as well, Jason Garrett. So I like Dallas in this game. Going to Carolina, I think it's going to be another shootout. I think both teams put up some points. What do you guys think?
Agreed. I'm with you on Dallas on this one. Same reasons. Dallas has something to prove. They've got to keep winning this. So I'm gonna go with Dallas.
Awesome. And
I'm
Clara?
going to go Carolina. They're coming off of a bye. I think Cam Newton's going to have his breakout game.
Nice,
All right.
nice. Well, there you go. You heard it here. Baltimore and Houston, one of the best games obviously on the whole NFL slate. Baltimore without Ray Lewis, without Haloti Ngata, and Terrell Suggs might be coming back.
Oh no.
I mean, if you're Houston, you're absolutely licking your chops. Matt Schaub, Aaron Foster, those guys didn't really get going against Green Bay. I think they get going against Baltimore coming into their house. I like Houston in this one.
I like Houston in this one as well. I mean, I think both good defenses here. Baltimore's defense right now is struggling. They're not at home. Houston just lost. And I think they're going to, with their home fans behind them going to this game, and everybody hates Baltimore, so go Houston.
Houston.
I say you start everybody.
Short
I think
and
Baltimore
sweet.
doesn't really come up to play, and they're kind of missing some guys. So I like Houston in this one as well.
And they can't play on the road.
Yeah, man, you're absolutely right. So I like Houston this one, landslide. All right, another big game. Washington goes into New York, into the Meadowlands, tough place to play. Obviously, RG3 has been playing out of his mind, but New York Giants, their defense really stepped up last week at San Francisco. look for more of the same. I like the Giants in this one. I look for RG3 to struggle a little bit, being on the road in a hostile environment. What do you guys think about this one?
I think we're fired up after our Minnesota win. I mean, we were even with Rex Grossman last year, we beat the Super Bowl New York Giants twice last year. I don't know if everyone remembers that. So I think we're going to play them tough. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think the Redskins got this.
Okay.
I think this is going to be an awesome game, too. I agree. The battle of the quarterbacks here, and I think it's going to be fun to watch RG3 going at it and at the Giants. But, I'm gonna go ahead and give this one to Washington. I think RG3 needs to prove himself on the road a little bit, and then they're going to come into Pittsburgh the following week and lose.
All right.
So go Washington in this one.
Well, let's hope. New Orleans and Tampa. Tampa's a very tough place to play. Saints lost to them last year in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's kind of fired up. New Orleans coming off that bye week where they beat the San Diego Chargers on Sunday night. I think they're ready for the Buccaneers. I think you start everyone on New Orleans. Tampa, I mean, you don't really know what you're going to get out of Josh Freeman, but he's going to get the New Orleans Saints defense, who's one of the worst defenses in the league. So I think it's another game where they put up a lot of points. I like New Orleans in this game.
New Orleans, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going New Orleans.
I think I'm going to go Tampa Bay on this one. Tampa Bay is coming off a win.
Okay.
New Orleans is always so hit or miss, even though they're coming off a bye week. I don't know, and they're at home. Tampa Bay. I think I'm going to go with Tampa Bay.
All right. Well, I don't agree. Neither does Clara. So
You guys are probably right.
you'll probably be flying out of San Diego on Sunday, so you probably won't even catch the game or even know who wins until I text you.
Be nice.
All right. Well, St. Louis is playing at home against Green Bay. Green Bay is coming off an offensive resurgence, if you will. St. Louis has an awesome pass rush, probably one of the better in the NFL. Does Aaron Rodgers get 6 touchdowns again, or does he struggle and maybe throw for like 1 or 2?
Well, I mean, and this St. Louis is definitely not the team they were last year. I mean, this is definitely the top 5 surprising teams.
Mm-hmm.
They came in, they almost beat Detroit, week 1, and they beat Arizona. They broke Arizona's streak. I mean, not saying much, but I mean, Arizona looked tough.
Right.
But I think it's going to be a tough game. I think if Aaron Rodgers needs to have another 5, Aaron Rodgers needs to be the Aaron Rodgers he was last year for them to win this game, because St. Louis is tough.
Yeah, they are. And I like Sam Bradford. I mean, Daryl Richardson's one of the better waiver wire pickups of this whole entire season. The guy's averaging about 7-8 yards a carry. And then also, without Amendola, a lot of guys have kind of stepped up for St. Louis. And so I like St. Louis in this game only because they're at home. Green Bay, I think, might be looking towards their middle part of the schedule. And it's kind of easy to overlook St. Louis, and St. Louis has been very good this season playing at home. So I like St. Louis in this game.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Green Bay is going to have the game they had last week with all those points either.
I wouldn't bet on this game,
Yeah.
but
Right.
I think Green Bay is going to win.
Okay.
I'm going to say St. Louis is going to squeak this one out.
I like St. Louis, too.
All right.
Whoa, we
We'll see.
agree.
I know. Unbelievable. First time ever.
know.
Arizona Cardinals going to Minnesota. Minnesota obviously reeling off that loss to the Washington Redskins. They're going to be pissed off. Arizona comes off that.
Starting.
And John Skeldon's starting. Arizona coming off that horrible loss to Buffalo in overtime. I think
Minnesota
Minnesota
coming
bounce
off that
back.
horrible loss.
And Minnesota too. I mean,
Yes.
what's going to happen
After
in this game?
9-0 lead.
I think it's gonna be a low-scoring game. A lot of runs by Adrian Peterson. Maybe Toby Gerhart gets involved. Don't start, Christian Ponder. Don't start John Skelton, your favorite player, Clara. Yeah. So I think you kind of stay away from everyone but Adrian Peterson in this one.
And Larry Fitzgerald, got to start him.
You got to start.
Yeah.
All right, Cleveland Browns in Indianapolis. Probably one of the
The most
gonna be a
exciting
really
game of the
fun
year.
game.
yes, a barn burner. Brandon Weeden up against Andrew Luck. I don't even want to spend that much time on it. Indianapolis wins.
I hope
Cleveland gets their
Indianapolis
first win of the season last week, but that means nothing.
Indy wins. Keep having everyone else.
Yep.
No, they looked awful last week. I'm going Cleveland.
All right.
Are you?
I like Indy. Andrew Luck had some. Jacksonville and Oakland. Tough place to play in Oakland. I like Denarius Moore looking to step up as he has the last 3 weeks. Start Maurice Jones-Drew. That's about
Definitely start Darren McFadden.
All
Darren
right.
McFadden, definitely.
it. Start McFadden?
Yeah, start McFadden.
Okay. One of the better games on AFC East matchup between the New York Jets going to Foxborough.
It's gonna be a fun one.
Jets came off that huge win in Indianapolis, kind of I'd say a huge season-changing win after losing Darrelle Revis. some other guys in injury. New England coming off that brutal loss in Seattle, looking for some revenge. I think Tom Brady throws for like 3 or 4 touchdowns, about 350 in the air. I think New England wins by at least 14.
And the New England has too many good receivers out there. For Cromartie can't defend them all.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Well, he might be able
hurt.
to. According to some people in the audience, he might be able to.
I'm
We won't
with you on
mention
this one,
names.
Rob.
No.
We won't mention
But
names.
I like the Patriots in this
I
one.
like the Patriots on this one too.
All right, well,
I
Sunday Night
agree.
Football, your Steelers into Cincinnati. Cincinnati is in dire need of a victory.
Yeah.
What's going to happen here? It's kind of a toss-up. Pittsburgh does need to win too.
Pittsburgh's in dire
I think
need of a victory.
Roethlisberger has a great game. Whatever bum they get off the street playing running back for Pittsburgh is going to do well. I think you start everyone for Pittsburgh.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going with Cincinnati on this one only because Pittsburgh's injuries are hurting them.
We have so many injuries.
I mean, it's just
even when we get someone
defensive
back,
injuries.
they're in for a game and then we lose them again. I mean, we cannot keep these guys
Cincy's
healthy.
tough.
It's really tough.
But I think that this is going to be a very not low-scoring game, but it's going to be close because division teams always play each other tough.
Yeah,
you know.
especially because Cincinnati's coming off a loss to the Browns of all people. After last week.
Look to rebound a little bit.
Yeah, so I can never bet up against or pick against my team. So I got to go Steelers. We have something to prove this week, especially not at a home field. So go Steelers, but it's going to be a tough game.
Okay, well, I think Pittsburgh wins too.
All right.
All right.
All right, and last but not least, Detroit invades Chicago. Hopefully, the fourth quarter kid Matt Stafford, kind of brings it in the first half. Not like he has been doing the whole season. Stafford, Johnson, going to be tough to play in Chicago. Sort
Chicago
of feels
coming off
tough.
of a bye. I think Chicago is going to destroy. This was actually my suicide pool. So
Ooh.
I know.
Wow,
A little risky.
Your teams are draining
I know.
right now.
It's risky on this one.
So I got
Man.
Chicago.
Well, you're still in Survivor, which is good. I'm out.
I don't know. I think I got to go with the Lions on this one. Lions, thank gosh they beat the Eagles this past week. I love
thank
watching
God.
the Eagles lose.
Me too.
But, coming off a bye with Chicago, they are at home. It's going to be a tough game, but I'm going to go with the Lions.
Awesome. Well, that's all the time we have. Again, for Natalie Gerson and Claire Markowski, I'm Rob Castro. Thanks again, Phil, for directing the show. For myself, Fantasy Sports Review. We'll see you next week here on Fantasy Football Review. Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah.